I've given this important decision the most careful consideration. First and foremost, I want to appoint the person who I believe will best represent the people of Minnesota in the Senate. I selected our outstanding Lieutenant Governor, Tina Smith. I've worked with many superb public officials during my 40-year career. Tina stands first and foremost among them. She's extremely intelligent, quick to learn, yet always open to hearing others' views. She genuinely likes people, and people like her. She has impeccable integrity and the highest personal and professional standards. She will be a senator of whom all Minnesotans can be proud. Tina knows Minnesota. She's traveled extensively throughout our state. She knows our citizens, our challenges, and our opportunities. We worked closely together during the past 7 years, and she deserves great credit for our administration's achievements, which have led to our just being named the best-run state in America. Before making my decision, I listened to many Minnesotans who shared their views with me. But this final decision is mine alone. Again, it is based entirely upon my conviction that Tina Smith will be the best possible senator for the people of Minnesota. It is now my honor to introduce Minnesota's next United States Senator, Tina Smith.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Governor Dayton, wherever you are. There you are. I accept this appointment, and it will be my great honor to serve Minnesota as United States Senator. Though I never anticipated this moment, I am resolved to do everything that I can to move Minnesota forward, and I will be a fierce advocate in the United States Senate for economic opportunity and fairness. This is a difficult moment for us, but even now I am filled with optimism for Minnesota, this big, welcoming, diverse, and resilient place that has been my home for over 30 years. As Lieutenant Governor, I have traveled everywhere in Minnesota. Being elected Lieutenant Governor is a little like being invited into Minnesota's living room. I've talked to people in their homes, at their jobs, in city halls, and their places of worship. We've talked about what worries them, what keeps them up at night, and what gives them hope. And I've learned a lot from that. You know, Minnesota has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. But I've heard stories from families who are working 2 full-time jobs and still struggling to find a good place to live. Minnesota has some of the best schools. But I've talked to moms who are faced with driving 60 miles every day to get their child to a good preschool. Minnesota has more people with health insurance than almost any other state. Yet I've talked to farmers who have lost access to their longtime doctors and can't afford the health insurance premiums. Minnesota iron ore built this country, yet I've talked to rangers who are worried about the future of their small towns. And Minnesota is often named one of the best states for women. Yet even here, women still earn less than men, and women of color and Native American women have even fewer opportunities. We have so much opportunity in this state and this country, but we have so much work to do to make sure that that opportunity is broadly shared. Paul Wellstone said often, we all do better when we all do better. And I will serve Minnesota in the United States Senate, guided by these words and led by these Minnesota stories. Just over 3 years ago, we re-elected Senator Franken with a mandate to work hard to keep Minnesota moving forward, to improve people's lives. And with his decision to step down, it is the responsibility of our governor to appoint a person to fill this vacant spot. Now my job will be to go to Washington, D.C. to continue working on behalf of Minnesota and our country. And I will do this in my own way, using my own best judgment and experience, but always with the people of Minnesota in mind. And it is up to Minnesotans to decide for themselves who they want to complete Senator Franken's term. They will make this decision in a special election next November. I will run in that election, and I will do my best to earn Minnesotans' support. And I believe the way to do that is by being the best senator that I can be. I want to thank Senator Franken for his service. He has been a champion for our state, and I know that he and Franny will continue to work for our state and for our country. And I also want to thank Senator Franken's excellent staff, both here in Minnesota as well as in Washington, D.C., for your work to help Minnesota. You do that every day in thousands of ways. This work continues, and we still need you. I want to take a moment also to express my deep gratitude for the opportunity to serve with Governor Mark Dayton. I have seen how Mark brings integrity, heart, and a passion for justice to his job. He is an exceptional leader, and I am so proud to have served with him. The men and women in our office and the 34,000 people who serve in state government are some of the best, most dedicated public servants that I have ever known. I have loved this job, and I have been so proud to call you colleagues. My family is with me here today. Didn't want to stand too close, My husband Archie, our sons Sam and Mason, and their wives and our daughters, Emily and Julia. I'm so proud of you. I love you, and I'm so grateful for your love and support. Finally, I want to thank the people of Minnesota for this opportunity to have served you in the state capitol, and for your support and encouragement as I become your senator. You know, the governor keeps a sign in his office that says, "None of us is as smart as all of us." And I will take my own version of that sign with me to Washington, D.C., as a reminder of the wisdom of my fellow Minnesotans. This Senate seat has a strong, abiding legacy of service and social justice that runs back to Paul Wellstone, Walter Mondale, Gene McCarthy, and Hubert Humphrey. As I take this new position in this extraordinary time that we're in, I will do my best to move this legacy, but to move it forward towards a better, more inclusive, and more just future for all of us. Thank you very much, and the governor and I would be happy to take a few questions.
Governor, you said this decision was yours and yours alone. Did you get a lot of pressure from national Democrats on who you should choose and whether that person should just be a placeholder or run again in 18?
The only person in Washington I spoke with outside of our Minnesotans in our congressional delegation is Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. He did not express a view about who the selection should be. He did believe that does believe that the person should run for the office next year. You know, he has a strong and legitimate stake in this decision as the Democratic leader, and obviously wants to hold the seat next year. But I didn't get pressure, and the decision is mine, and Tina's decision to run for the seat next year is her decision.
Any concerns that you might be perceived as kind of installing a senator and being kind of the kingmaker here?
Well, Queen maker. I'm doing what the Constitution of Minnesota instructs me to do. It's unequivocal that the governor appoints someone to fill the vacancy until the next general election, which will be in November of 2018. So, and as Tina said, at that point, the people of Minnesota will decide, properly so, for the remainder of the Senate term. So, I'm doing what the Constitution of Minnesota gives me the responsibility to do.
I think anybody who knows the voters of Minnesota know that they can't be told what to do. And my purpose is to go out and ask for those voters' support, and that is my job to do. And I think that that's just such an important part of this, this story that we're telling today.
There was some speculation that you would not want to go for November of 2018, in part because you declined to run for governor. What changed your mind if that was it?
Well, this is an extraordinary moment, and in moments like this, you have to ask yourself, I had to ask myself, what was the best way for me to serve? What contribution could I make? What would that look like? I had to assess that, and as I did that assessment, it became clear to me that I'm prepared to do this. I'm qualified to do this, that I have a unique role to play here. And after I realized that, it was a very, very easy decision for me to make.